Hello and welcome back to another episode. I am so excited to be here today. I have so many things on my mind. I went and got a haircut yesterday and I have to say I have so much regrowth happening. It is unbelievable. For those of you who have been following my journey a little bit, I didn't realize it at the time, but my hair started falling out. I was feeling super fatigued all the time. I was trying to figure out what was going on. And I finally got my labs drawn. And my I have hypothyroidism and borderline like Hashimoto's. And my testosterone was like not even on the chart. Like I had a testosterone level of like 17. So back in December, I started testosterone therapy, TRT replacement, hormone replacement. I started a cream and then I actually just switched over to a local hormone specialist because I like to go in person and be able to ask questions. And so I went in there, met with her. I had a hormone consult. She looked at my previous labs. We redrew new labs, looked at it all again comparatively to each other. And she was like, your thyroid needs to be addressed. So the testosterone helped a little bit with the fatigue, but it made me feel good for about a week once it finally kind of kicked in. And then she said is what happens is your body's like, oh, but the thyroid is still having issues. And so here's all the symptoms you've been experiencing, not super improved. And so she got me on some NP thyroid. And I have to say, I'm honestly feeling more like myself than I have in a very long time. And it feels so good. So I just wanted to put that out there and give you a little life update because when I hop on, I record these on video. So if you're watching on YouTube, I'm like, oh, my hair is finally feeling like my old hair again. Like my hair, it just looks good. It feels good. It's growing back. It's not falling out as bad. And it just makes me so happy because I was like, I am going to be bald in a year if my hair keeps falling out like this. So if you are having any of the similar symptoms, it might be worth getting your hormones drawn. And what is so frustrating to me is that insurances will cover getting most of your labs drawn, but when women actually need support for something or men, they don't cover that. And I'm like, what is this? But I will tell you, it is worth every penny to have alleviated the symptoms. I am sleeping better than I've ever slept. It's been so good all around. So just putting that out there. That's not what today's episode is about, but I just wanted to give you a little life update because I know that I've had some people ask about it. I have a few people who reach out all the time, just like asking how it's going. And so I just wanted to give you a little update here if that's something, if you've been experiencing any of those things and want to just get it looked at. I will tell you, it is highly, highly worth it. And I will tell you, even without insurance, running my labs through my hormone specialist for my thyroid, and I can't remember, I don't think we didn't take a testosterone level, but on my thyroid, it was $20. $20. So look into it. I'm sure it's different in whatever state you're in. I'm currently in Arizona, so it was $20 to get them drawn. If I didn't run it through insurance, if I did run it through insurance, insurance covers it. But yeah, so that is where we are at. But today's episode is something that I am super excited about because this is something that I struggled with for a very, very long time. And so we are going to talk about how managing everyone else's emotions is holding you back. So we're going to get started because I have 12 ways that managing everyone else's emotions is holding you back. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but I'm willing to bet you have because I have a lot of recovering people pleasers who are in here. And for me, if we talk about, well, probably for all of us, if we talk about like, where does the people pleasing come from? Where does this tendency to think that our needs don't matter? Where does it come from, right? And I think one, society kind of conditions us that way as moms. It kind of conditions us to believe that we need to put our kids first. We need to put family first before we do anything for ourselves. And that is just not the case. And I think as children, it's also a learned behavior. If you struggled to get needs met, or you had parents who were emotionally immature, and so you almost like you asked for as little as possible because you didn't want to rock the boat or ruffle any feathers, and you just didn't know how the adults were going to respond. And so you learn this behavior of like, well, if I just like tuck all my needs in and make sure that everyone around me is happy, then I'm safe. And now that we are grown adults, that does not serve us anymore. So let's talk about 12 ways that managing everyone else's emotions is holding you back in your life. And number one is you say yes when you want to say no. How many times have you agreed to do something, whether it be out of guilt, obligation, a fear of upsetting someone? Whenever you have done this, you are sacrificing your own needs. It could be an extra volunteer role, like at your kids' schools. My kids know, and I have shared this on here multiple times, I do not volunteer in their school. I do not want to be in their classroom. I get overstimulated by a lot of noise, and it's just not a good space for me. And for me to be able to be the best mom possible, my time is best spent when I can work on my business while my kids are at school, and then I am available to my kids when they get home. So I say no. I say no to that. But the thing is, when we say yes to everything and we really want to say no, you're not going to have the time or energy for the things that actually matter to you. So next time somebody asks you to do something, before saying yes and then going home and complaining to your partner, I can't even believe I said yes to that. Like, why am I doing this? I didn't want to. Instead of doing that to yourself again, take a pause. And you can tell the person, let me think on that. I'll let you know tomorrow morning. And if you know that it's a no and that you're going to say yes, and then you're going to go home and complain to your husband that you can't believe that you did that, and why do you always do this to yourself? Just say no. No is a complete sentence. Just say, you know what, I'm not available for that right now, or I don't have the time to do that right now, but thank you so much for thinking of me. You can say things like that. And maybe I'll give you like a few responses here that for some of these, if that's helpful. Number two is you hold back on setting boundaries. Again, you're afraid of how it's going to make somebody else feel. It's going to make them feel bad. You are afraid of how they might respond to you. Maybe they're going to give you pushback and you don't know what to do. And so instead of tolerating the things that drain you, like maybe you have people in your life who make last minute requests, they guilt trip, or they're constantly like interrupting you. I loved this example. I can't remember who shared it, but it was basically her mother-in-law would just like show up at her door almost every single day. And she had finally, because she worked from home as well, so she'd like show up to do whatever, play with the kids, I don't know. And finally she had to look at her and say, listen, I'm going to lock my door from now on. And if you continue to show up and ring the doorbell, I'm actually not going to let you in. These are my work hours and I need to get this stuff done. So I would really appreciate it if you could like call first, or we can set up a time that you can come and visit once a week. Like you can do these things too. But it's like, okay, let's say somebody who always makes last minute requests. Let's talk about teenagers. Teenagers who need things. And I have one who, she was out of tampons and she was like, Mom, I need tampons today. And I was like, oh, you do? And I did go get them for her. But after I said, listen, you know, when you are running out of things, it's the same with like deodorant, right? I've gotten a request for deodorant, just a few other things. And I'm like, okay, listen, you know when you're getting low. So I need you to tell me when you're getting low so that I can order a new box, a new deodorant, a new whatever, or I can make a plan to run up to the store to get that for you. But when you make it last minute and you need it right now, that's not always going to work for me. And I may not always be available to do that for you. And so I need to know a few days before you're out at least. And ever since that one time, like they have gotten so much better. So there's another boundary that you can set. Something else is maybe people commenting on how you parent. And something that you can say is like, hey, I appreciate that you're trying to help. I actually have like 3 other moms in this house some of the time. And I've really, for those of you who don't know, I've been working with a behavior coach in one of her programs. Her name's Lauren Pace. She is rising.motherhood on Instagram if you want to reach out to her. But I've been in a parenting course because I was really struggling with how to show up with one of my kids, my little boy. He's particularly hard. I'm pretty sure he's got ADHD. I need to get him tested. He just really struggles to focus. But as I have been watching his behavior lately, I'm like, oh, he has like 4 moms, all these girls in this house who are telling him what to do. And I myself was super guilty of this because of his lack of focus. I was like following him around the house some days, being like, okay, now we need to get this done. Okay, now we need to get this done. And he would like give a lot of pushback. He would get really frustrated, emotional. He was a little more anxious sometimes. And when I started working with her and I really started to look at how would I be feeling if I was in his position, I'm like, oh my gosh, pretty shitty. And so I've set the boundary with my kids. Like, I am the mom, so I don't need you bossing anybody else in the house around. You just get to be a kid, and I will take care of the parenting duties. And it still takes some reminders, but ever since then, it has worked wonders. Okay, number 3. I'm gonna try to go a little faster. Number 3, you soften your opinions. Maybe you have some strong thoughts about parenting, business, personal growth, life, things happening in the world, right? Politics. And maybe instead of speaking how you really feel confidently, you worry about offending somebody or even coming across as too much. And so you water yourself down. And the thing is this holds you back because you're going to miss out on deep connections with like-minded people and opportunities where your voice should be heard. And so if you continue to be a watered down version of yourself, you're not going to find the people who really resonate. And if you're in business, it's like this attract and repel, right? And I think that we all have this fear of repelling people. I've even had this fear that I'm still like working through letting go of a little bit more and a little bit more every single day. But you don't get to show up fully as you and find the people who really like resonate with that. And so don't let that hold you back. Number 4 is you avoid hard conversations. You feel that something isn't right. Maybe it is in your marriage, maybe it's in a friendship, maybe it's at work, but instead of addressing it, you brush it under the rug. You would rather keep things smooth than deal with like somebody's frustration, disappointment, defensiveness, their reaction, right? And here's what I want to say. This is how it holds you back is problems are not going to go away just because you ignore them. It is going to continue to build up. It's going to lead to bigger resentment, miscommunication, and then eventually burnout. Do not do that to yourself. I did this for a very long time in my marriage. I was drowning, I was struggling, and I thought that my husband also had the same belief that I had, that moms were supposed to do it all. We were supposed to take care of the kids, take care of the house, do all the laundry, cook all the food, and all of the invisible mental load that a lot of people don't talk about. It's starting to become more mainstream, which I'm so grateful for. But I was afraid to bring it up with my husband because I thought that he felt the same way, that it was just like my duty and it was my job to maintain all of that, and that he was going to judge me for not being able to stay on top of it all, when really it was me judging myself. But I was just avoiding having that hard conversation. So open your mouth and let's talk about it. All right, number 5, you downplay your success. When you get a compliment, do you brush it off? Maybe you hesitate to share a win in your life or at work or in your business because you're afraid that people are going to think that you're bragging. Maybe you even dim your light because you don't want other people to feel insecure around you. And this holds you back because you are subconsciously telling yourself you don't deserve to shine, which is only going to keep you playing small. So find that friend, find a partner, find whoever that you can celebrate your wins with. Let your kids come home and teach them. Start to teach your kids to celebrate their little wins. Have a little dance party, like really celebrate them. And number 6, you adjust your energy to match the room. If someone around you is in a bad mood, I gotta tell you, you shrink yourself. I used to do this one so much because my husband and I, this was like a couple of years ago, I just noticed like his energy was a little more like down, and I am more of like this bubbly, bouncy, dance around, kind of crazy like personality. And he is more like your even kill, solid rock, doesn't talk a lot type of person. And I was always afraid of like being too much or too happy or too excited. And I didn't want him to feel worse. And I would like absorb some of his energy and his mood. And it has taken me quite a while to learn how to just like be in my own energy in his presence. And his energy, I actually have noticed the last little bit has like come up. And I mean, there's other things that we're doing. He's now doing personal growth. He has a coach. He's got other things happening in his life. He works out every single day. And so there's other factors that like play into that it wasn't all just like me just being myself and in my own energy and being happy, but he is kind of like following suit. So it's like really fun to just see that like he's allowing himself to be more him, and we're being more of ourselves around each other, which feels so good. And how this holds you back is your emotions start to become controlled by others instead of staying like rooted in your own joy and confidence. You just feel like, again, you have to like shrink or dim that light just a little bit to keep other people comfortable. We are not doing that anymore. Number 7, you over explain yourself and you justify every decision. When you make a choice that others may not agree with, whether it is how you parent, what you eat, the business you choose to start, the career path you choose to go down, you feel like you need to prove why it is the right decision. And the thing is, you go into these long explanations because maybe you have a fear of being misunderstood and you're trying to make sure that nobody is upset or confused. And this is just a waste of your energy, to be honest. You are seeking outside approval and validation instead of just owning your decisions unapologetically. So I just want you to ask yourself here, like, how would it feel if you didn't have the need to over explain yourself? I have actually gotten pretty dang good at this one, to be like, I'm not available for that. Sorry, can't do that. We're actually not going to be there. Thanks so much for the invite. Because I used to be the person who would text back and I'd be like, oh, like so and so has a wrestling tournament today. And so I'm not sure what time we're going to get home. So I don't think we're going to be able to make it. And I would like over explain. They don't need your life story. They just need to know if you're coming or not. So say yes or no and stop feeling like you have to over explain yourself because you're afraid that they might be upset or misunderstand you. Number 8, you put your dreams on hold. You always wanted to start a business, get in the best shape of your life, or travel more, but you keep putting it off. Maybe you tell yourself this is because your kids are young, your husband's not going to be on board, or your family might not get it, right? I do not have one of those judgmental families. I have more of a standoffish family. And so I don't feel like I've ever had to like worry about like what I do and what my family thinks in regard to chasing a dream. But there have been other things that I've had to worry about, like what are they saying behind my back? How are they talking about me? Like, I don't know. That I let sway how I would show up on social media and in certain areas of my business. And I have had to let that go because that was holding my dreams back. And basically, when you do this, you are living your life for them instead of designing one that lights you up. So remember, again, take your power back. You are in control. You get to create the life that you desire to create, and no one else is living the life that you're living. Only you. You are with yourself 24/7, so you might as well make yourself happy. All right. Number 9 is kind of a repeat a little bit, but you tiptoe around someone's moods. So this kind of comes back to like, you kind of learn what to say or what to do so that you avoid triggering somebody's bad attitude. I feel like with one of my teenagers, I kind of got in a habit of like walking on eggshells because I mean, she could ice you out for days if you said something that pissed her off. And we've done a little bit of like family therapy and coaching around this again. You guys, I practice what I preach. Like, I am never going to tell you to do anything, like hire a coach or whatever, if I have never done it myself. But I'm going to tell you there is so much value in getting help with these things because it has changed everything for our family. And so just knowing that like we cannot control other people's reactions. We can't manage their reactions. They are responsible for their own emotions. Remember, if you've heard me talk about like stop carrying other people's stones, pretend you have all these stones of your own shit that you're carrying in your backpack. And if you continue to pick up everybody else's stones, that's going to be a really heavy backpack. We want to take everybody else's stones out of your backpack, and then we want to lighten your load. And so just know that like you don't need to lose yourself in trying to keep everyone else emotionally regulated. Focus on your own peace, and other people's emotions just are not your responsibility. And I think you already know, and it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it. This does not mean you get to show up and be a complete bitch and just be like, oh, not my problem, like, and be a horrible person. No. But I feel like if you're listening to this, you're probably not a horrible person anyways. So just know that. But you get to stop carrying everybody else's stones. Number 10, you tolerate disrespect or unfair treatment. Maybe you have somebody, maybe at work, maybe in your house, maybe it's a family member who talks down to you, they constantly interrupt you, or they diminish your feelings. I have had an experience with many family members who do this, and instead of calling them out, maybe you let it slide because you don't want to deal with the confrontation or make them uncomfortable. And for me, I let it slide for way too many years. And finally, this year, 2025, I called it out and I put the boundary in place, and I decided what I was no longer available for. And now I get to just protect my inner peace and show up as me. And I won't tolerate disrespect or unfair treatment anymore. And so I've had to remove myself from dysfunctional and toxic patterns. I have quit talking to people. And it's like we all hit a breaking point where maybe we have tried to explain it. We have tried to ask for them to stop. We've tried to put the boundary in place, like whatever phase you're in. I feel like there's a lot of phases to this. You're the one who teaches people how to treat you. And that's just what I want to remind you here is take your own power back. And when you teach people that it's okay to mistreat you, it will erode your confidence over time. So take your power back, put a boundary in place if necessary, remove yourself from situations where you've been treated unfairly, especially if the person's not willing to like hear you out or change their behavior, then you get to change your behavior. That's what a boundary is really all about, is when you put a boundary in place, you are choosing a different response. So you are asking the person or telling, or it's an energetic boundary. I have energetic boundaries too. If somebody knocks on my door and it's like a friend or whatever, I have an energetic boundary that I'm like, I will give you 30 minutes because you showed up uninterrupted or unannounced. Unless I like have nothing going on, then I can decide in the moment. But it's an energetic boundary that I'm like, okay, like I'll give you about 30 minutes and then I'm going to get back to my work or whatever. And so there's boundaries that like we don't have to speak out loud, and then there's boundaries that we do speak out loud. But when you're being disrespected or treated unfairly, then you get to speak up. This would be a boundary that you would speak out loud. Or if you have tried to have conversations with this purple people, this person, and they are not willing to like listen, they're not willing to adjust their behavior, then you get to change your actions. And that may be by removing yourself from the situation, no longer hanging out with this person, no longer talking to this person, whatever it is for you. And so just know that like that's really what a boundary is like for you to be able to change your behavior that protects your own inner peace without stressing or worrying about how the other person's going to respond. All right, number 11, you take responsibility for how others feel. Do you understand a lot of these play into emotion and being responsible for yourself? I mean, that is the title of the episode, is like managing everyone else's emotions, but we don't do it. We don't do it. That is not the vibe here. If someone is upset, maybe you immediately wonder what you did wrong. I feel like this can go back to a childhood pattern, especially for me. And I feel like a lot of us, if you were raised with emotionally immature adults in your life, then you would try to like stuff your emotions down to keep the peace, right? But then if somebody would get upset, you're like, oh no, like what did I do? What's wrong? And you start to take on the emotional labor of making sure that everyone around you is okay, even if their feelings have nothing to do with you. It is not your job. I felt this a lot in my childhood on feeling like I needed to make sure everyone around me was okay. So basically, it's like, if you've heard of parentification, basically parentification is like you were the adult in your childhood. And so you were the one who was worrying and caring about everyone else's needs because the adults in your life could not do it for you. So how this holds you back is like you carry an unnecessary emotional weight, and it drains your energy and it keeps you from being able to focus on your own peace and well-being. And then finally, number 12, you don't prioritize yourself. You put everyone else first. I feel like this is just like typical mom culture right here, is you put everyone else's needs first. You make sure their needs are met even before you consider your own. And then by the time you think about your goals, self-care, like personal growth, you're just too tired. You are too tired. And this is where I was in my marriage a long time ago. Again, going back to like having those hard conversations, is I was trying to carry the load of everything and I was so tired. And what this led to was like, I was so resentful, so resentful. And I finally just like hit my breaking point, and I told my husband, I was like, I will not keep living like this. Like, we have got to figure something out that's different. And he was like, I had no idea. And so I feel like a lot of times, especially in relationships, our partners truly want to like help and support us, but it's us who like make up all these big stories in our heads about how they're going to respond, what they're thinking, and whatever. And until you put it out in the open, you actually have no clue what's going on in their minds. So let's open up the conversation. Let's learn to prioritize ourselves. These are the 12 ways why you managing everyone else's emotions is holding you back. It is time to stop doing that. I would love, if you loved this episode, like I would love to hear which one resonated with you the most. Please share it on your Instagram, tag me, drop a review below, and I will talk to you next time.